that when we choose to feel feelings that create what is called coherence in our bodies. Coherence is the language, the quality of the language between our heart and our brain. Certain kinds of heart-based experiences, such as appreciation, gratitude, forgiveness, care, compassion, those are the ancient understandings that have always been taught in the truest traditions of our past, and now our own science is finding that those same traditions are now documenting this very real effect in our hearts. When we can feel those feelings in our bodies, they are mirrored in the field, and everyone benefits from the experience of relatively few. The human heart is now documented as the strongest generator of both electrical and magnetic fields in the body. Now, this is important because we've always been taught that the brain is where the action is. The brain has an electrical field, it does have a magnetic field, but they're relatively weak compared to the heart. The heart is about 100 times stronger electrically and up to 5,000 times stronger, 5,000 times stronger magnetically than the brain. And the reason this is important is because the physical world as we know it is made of those two fields of energy, electrical and magnetic fields of energy, electromagnetic fields. Our own physics books now tell us if we can change either the magnetic field of an atom or the electrical field of the atom, by doing that we literally change that atom. We change the stuff that our bodies in this world are made of. And it appears now that the human heart is designed to do both, to change both the electrical field and the magnetic field of our bodies and our world, and they do so in response to the emotions that we create between our heart and our brain. Well, I've had many questions from people asking me how these discoveries relate to what is now known as the law of attraction. What we find is this: it's less about attraction and more about a mirroring. And here's what I mean by that. The world around us, our own science now is telling us there's a field of energy that underlies all physical reality. In 1944, the father of quantum theory, Max Planck, identified this field and he called it the matrix. That's where this term came from. And what we're now beginning to understand is that when we create the feelings of what we choose to experience in our lives, everything from conscious choices of the perfect relationship or abundance in our lives, or the healing in our bodies, or the healing in the bodies of our loved ones, that those feelings are creating the patterns of magnetic and electrical field in our hearts that are literally rearranging the stuff of this quantum soup, this quantum essence, allowing the pattern of what we have claimed in our hearts to become manifest in the world around us. So it's less about attracting from a scientific perspective and more about consciously creating the template within us, knowing that the stuff of the universe will congeal around that template in the world around us to simply mirror, reflect what we've claimed.
But 1991, scientists made a discovery, headway, that really opened the door to this conversation. They discovered every human heart, about approximately 40,000 or so specialized cells configured in a way that creates a neural network in the heart. It's their brain-like cells, but they're not in the brain, they're in the heart. And it's actually called the little brain in the heart. And these 40,000 specialized cells are called sensory neurites. What they found, what the scientists discovered, is that these cells think independently of the cranial brain. They feel and they remember independently of the cranial brain. And what that means, Brian, is every experience that we have, even this one right now, I'm registering this experience in two places. This is a good experience, so it's not a problem. I'm registering it in my mind, in my cranial mind, as well as in my heart. But if we were having a trauma, it would still be registered in both places. And if I tried to heal that trauma only through thinking about it or talking from my mind, it might feel incomplete. The healing may feel incomplete. And the reason is because I've only addressed what happened in here. I haven't addressed what happened in here. And we know this intuitively. Because people all the time, they point. I did an experiment a few years ago. Every culture I went to, And every age group, I asked little kids, I said, where are you sitting right now? Show me where you're sitting. And people say, I'm sitting right here. Right here. I don't want to hit my mic, but they say, right here. Or you ask the indigenous people, where do you live? Well, this is my home. And almost instinctively, we know that the heart is the seat of our existence, the seat of our being. You don't see them hitting their head, or their arm or something else. So we know that. So when we talk about heart intelligence, what we're talking about is the ability for these neurons to communicate with the neurons in a way that is meaningful to those neurons. These neurons are linked to a wisdom, to an intelligence that is right for us. Mine is right for me, yours is right for you. And any question that you ask this intelligence, it will answer you in a way that will serve you in that moment. It'll never tell you to do anything dangerous or anything that would hurt anyone else. I'll give you a perfect example. I was in Australia over 9/11. Couldn't get back into my own country until the flights were flying again. And when they did fly, I was in Sydney, Australia, and there was a Boeing 747, that's a big plane, with fewer than 20 people that were going to come to the U.S. And there was, at the ticket counter, we were at the gate to board, and the agent said, there's so few people, we're not going to board by boarding rows. You can board this plane if you want to and go to America. And I said, well, you don't sound very encouraging. She says, I don't know what happened in that country. She says, but this plane's going to go there. If you want to go there, I don't know if it's going to happen again. I don't know if it's over, but if you want to get on the plane, get on the plane. And really didn't instill a lot of confidence in me or the other people that were there. And I said, hold that thought, just wait a minute. And I stepped around the corner, and there's a technique where you can you touch your heart like this. And when you touch your heart, your awareness will always go to the place where you feel the touch. So when you call your attention into your heart center in this way, and you slow your breathing, just a few breaths slower than usual. When you slow your breathing, it tells your body that you are safe. You're in a place that's safe. And when you're safe, when you feel safe, it's a switch. It's like an emotional trigger that frees the rejuvenating and the healing chemistry in the body, because the stress and survival chemistry is not needed if you feel safe. So when you slow your breathing and focus in your heart, that is the doorway, and shamans will do this all the time. Monks, nuns, you see them do this all the time, to that heart intelligence. And I asked my heart, my heart, is this a safe flight for me to take? Because my head, if you ask your head, this is so interesting scientifically, because the brain's a polarity organ, left and right brain. And there's always going to be a right and a wrong, good and a bad, success, failure. And if you ask your brain a question under pressure, your brain will go through the logic and the ego loops that will keep you from making the answer. When you ask your heart, the heart's not a polarity organ. So you consciously free yourself from those loops into what is called heart intelligence. And generally your heart will answer. Your heart knows you very well. It's been with you a long time. Your heart will answer before you even finish the question. And
so it doesn't procrastinate.
You ask in a single concise sentence that the heart can respond to. Your heart doesn't need a preamble. It doesn't need a whole explanation of why you're asking. So ask a single question. And my heart told me, and it wasn't woo-woo, airy-fairy stuff. I mean, these are neurons that understand and are cutting through, all the static that would come from this. And I felt like it was a good flight. I took that flight. I got back to LA. I came back to a very different country, and there were only 9 flights to my home in New Mexico through the Albuquerque airport. And I was on one of those 9 flights, and because I trusted my heart, I got home that day. Other people were freaked out. They said, maybe they know something we don't. Maybe they had a briefing and they're not telling us, and they stayed until they felt like it was safe. So it's not right, wrong, good, or bad, but we all have times in our lives where something happens and we have to make a choice, sometimes really quickly. Sometimes it can be life and death in terms of auto accidents and things like that. I went through a period in my life where I was the first one on the scene for auto accidents, but it just kept happening. And I thought, the first couple of times I said, I was surprised, and after a while I wasn't even surprised anymore. But I'd have to make choices, make decisions about what to do in that moment until help got there, and I trusted.